Say AFT Class 11 Enhancing Tests Part 1. See, yesterday we discussed the test methods: close method, click method, set, secure, select, get visible text, get RO property, get content, get items count, next sync, navigate, next capture bitmap methods. Those are the important methods. Remaining methods we will discuss later. Whenever situation occurs, I will explain. Next, before moving to next phase of UFT test process, just recap last 10 classes. See, first chapter we discussed overview of test automation. Just recap. Overview of test automation. See, in this chapter, we discussed 5 topics. Disadvantage of manual testing, advantage of test automation. Next, disadvantage of test automation, types of test tools. Next, 5th topic, overview of functional testing. Next, second chapter, UFT test process. In that chapter, first we discussed introduction to UFT tool. Next, UFT test process phases: test planning, generating basic tests. Third one, enhancing tests. Fourth one, running and debugging tests. Fifth one, analyzing test results. Last one, reporting defects. Next, third chapter we discussed VB script roadmap. VB script for UFT. In that chapter we discussed VB script fundamentals and features. Only we indexed the concepts, comments, variables, next operators, flow control statements, functions, automation objects, etc. Next, third chapter, for fourth chapter, under generating basic test phase, record and run tests. Next, prerequisites for creating tests. Next, types of objects in UFT. Just a minute. Second chapter, UFT test process. Third one, VB script for UFT. Next, fourth one, under UFT test process, UFT test process, generating basic tests. Generating basic test phase. Under this phase, first we discussed a record and run. Record and run tests. Next, prerequisites. Prerequisites. Prerequisites to create tests. Next, types of objects. Types of objects in UFT. Next, object repository. Object repository. Next, keyword driven methodology. Keyword driven methodology. Creating tests manually using keywords. Next, types of steps are statements in UFT test. Types of steps in UFT test or test script. Next, descriptive programming. Under descriptive programming, we discussed static programming and dynamic programming. Next, UFT test methods. ఓకేనా సౌజన్య? Saujanya.
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. See next.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Come to mainstream. Next phase in UFT test process. Enhancing tests. Enhancing tests. Generating basic tests simple. Enhancing tests some difficult. Here we have UFT tool features as well as VB script features. We can use either UFT tool features or VB script features or both. Okay. Say already we discussed, try to increase the usage of VB script features. Reasons also we discussed. Here nearly 12 to 13 methods available for enhancing tests that already I indexed. Inserting checkpoints, inserting output values, inserting transaction points, parameterization, synchronization, etc. All are independent methods, no sequence, no dependencies. Okay. Next, for enhancing tests, we can use either tool features or script features. But for creating basic tests, tool only recognizes application objects. VB script doesn't recognize objects. Okay. Next, under enhancing tests, I'm going to take first one small chapter, inserting transaction points. Say for each and every test, all methods not required. We will discuss all possible enhancing methods. Based on your test requirement, you can use them. For example, for one test, 2 or 3 enhancing methods required. For one test, 3 or 4 required. Based on your test requirement, you can use them. Inserting transaction points. Inserting transaction points. See, actually, this feature is not related to functional test automation. It is a little bit performance test automation. Basically, UFT is functional and regression test tool, but UFT supports little bit performance testing. Not like load runner, 5,000 users, 10,000 users, etc. Only per single user. We can measure test transaction time or part of the test transaction time. See, using transaction points, start and end. Start and end. We can measure test transaction time. See, using transaction points, we can measure test transaction time. Test transaction time. entire test transaction time or partial test transaction time. For example, in our test, 3 operations are there. First login operation, next insert order operation, next fax order operation. I want to measure entire test transaction time. Yes, we can measure. Otherwise, I want to measure only login functionality transaction time. Yes, we can insert transaction time, transaction points for partial test. See, we can measure entire test transaction time, as well as partial test transaction time. Okay. Next, how to use transaction points. See, for inserting transaction points, UFT provided an utility object called services. See, utility objects, they are UFT reserved objects used for testing and result reporting. Earlier we used two utility objects. One is system util, another is repositories collection. Next, I'm going to introduce one more utility object called services. Services, utility object for inserting transaction time. Syntax. Services dot start transaction, single word. Start transaction is method. Services dot start transaction. Next, statements or steps. Next, services dot end transaction. See example. Generate the test. A record. Enter username. Enter password. Click OK button. Next, select fly from, fly to. Next, date of journey, class of journey, number of tickets, flight schedule, next, customer name, order. Over. Close application. Stop recording. Just perform dry run. Dry run means sample run. See, test run two types, dry run, real run. Purpose of dry run is to check whether the script is executing without errors or not. Real run purpose testing. Okay. Perform dry run, run. It is executing. Now I want to measure test transaction time. Guide me, Dinesh. I want to measure this entire test transaction time using transaction points. Guide me. Samir, you guide me. Samir.
Services start transaction.
Services dot start transaction. Just I forgot one thing. Here transaction name required. Within double quotes, transaction name. See at the end also use same name. If we use other name, it will show error. Transaction name within double quotes. Suppose insert order. Insert order. Next at the end, services dot end transaction. Next transaction name. Run the script. Over. Launch last run results. Say last statement, end transaction, insert order. Observe Samir, it is showing now. Tool in time in seconds. Transaction insert order and end with past status total duration 2.9135 seconds. Okay na? 2.9135. Run the test once again. Launch result window. Expand all. Observe Saujanya. This time 2.8433. Earlier 2.9 something. This time 2.8 something. See performance test result dynamic, functional test result static, constant. Just a minute, I will provide a small case study. Concentrate. Small case study. Functional test result. Functional test result analysis versus performance test result analysis. Test result analysis. Tell me, Saujanya, which one is difficult? Functional test result or performance test result? Which one is difficult? Radha. Okay, or else Saujanya continue or Radha.
Performance testers, sir.
Why?
Maybe the system load and everything we have to.
Say, in case of functional testing, only considerable factor is application. No dependency on local system configuration and networking, etc. Only application. Suppose if expected equal to actual, then pass, otherwise fail. We can simply blame the application. If it is performance testing, we can't simply blame the application. Why? Performance test result depends on several factors. Maybe application performance problem, or local system configuration problem, or networking communicators problem, or server response. See, several factors. After analyzing these factors only, we can finalize. And one more thing, functional testing, functional test result constant, fixed. Suppose 5 plus 3 equal to 8. Say if you execute this script 10 times you have to get 8 only, otherwise fail. If you execute one time, 10 times or 1000 times, every time you can get same result. But performance testing not like that. Suppose if you execute the script first time 2.9 something seconds, second time 2.8, third time 3.1, like that. Say performance test result dynamic. After executing 3 or 4 times, we have to take the average. Average depends on several factors. So a single execution is not sufficient. If it is performance testing, usually we execute every test script 3 or 4 times and we take average. But in case of functional testing, result is constant. For example, input 3, 5 addition operation. Next, expected, suppose 8. Next, actual. If actual also 8, then pass, otherwise fail. Actual after execution. If it is performance testing, several factors. Suppose login functionality, put mute for 1000 concurrent users. 1000 concurrent users within 3 seconds. See, as per our performance test requirement, login functionality within 3 seconds. See, first time it takes 2.9, second time 3.2, third time 2.88. After executing 3 or 4 times, we have to take average. Why? Performance test result depends on several factors. First, see, factors to consider for performance testing. See, first one, AUT, application, maybe application problem. Next, server response. Next, network communicators. Etc. Just a minute. Okay. Okay, now Dinesh, did you understand this concept? Functional test result versus functional test result analysis versus performance test result analysis.
Yes. Thank you.
Next, we can measure part of the test transaction time also. Part of the test transaction time. For example, I want to measure insert order transaction time also. See, in this test, two operations. One is login, next continuous insert order. I want to measure entire test transaction time. Next, only insert order transaction time. See, you can insert multiple transaction points. Suppose this test name. Next, one more transaction point. Services dot start transaction. And just a minute. Insert order. Next, services dot end transaction. See, in this test we inserted two transaction points. ABCD transaction point for entire test, insert order transaction point for only insert order. Run the test. Over. Launch result window, view menu, last run results. Expand all. See, first insert order 2.0487 seconds. Next, entire test 2.8734 seconds. See, like this we can insert multiple transaction points in a test. See, transaction points belongs to UFT tool. This is tool feature. See, in this feature you can find two disadvantages. It passes that value time in seconds. It passes transaction time to result window only. You cannot display the value locally. Suppose if you want to take that value to variable and display, no. It passes transaction point, it passes transaction time to result window only. We cannot take that value into variable. We cannot display the value locally, and we cannot export the value to external files. Suppose I want to export the transaction time to external files, Excel file or text file. No. Okay, now Surendra, find the drawbacks of this feature. What are the drawbacks? Surendra. Hey, people are responding very slowly. Can you tell me, Radha, drawbacks?
Yeah, pauses the value and we
That is
cannot
not
display the
drawback.
value.
That is not drawback. It passes the value to result window. That is not drawback. Drawbacks are we cannot
display the value
locally, means taking the value into variable and display, not possible. And one more thing,
export the
we cannot
export the files.
We cannot export the value to external files. Okay. Say tool feature. Limitations. Already we discussed. Tool features are ready-made features. Ready-made environments have limitations. Okay. Instead of this, you can use VB script built-in function timer for measuring transaction time, test transaction time. Just a minute. First, remove these transaction points. Remove. Now, no transaction points. Just run the script. Just plain execution. View last run result. See, no transaction points. Next, use timer function. See, VB script built-in function. VB script built-in function timer. What is timer function? It returns time in seconds that have elapsed since 12 a.m. midnight. Suppose, just assume now time is 6 o'clock or time is night 1 o'clock. After 12 o'clock, 1 hour means 60 into 60, 3600 seconds. Just a minute. It returns time in seconds that have elapsed since 12 a.m. midnight. 12 a.m. midnight based on local system time. See usage. How to use timer function for See, earlier we discussed the syntax for transaction points. This time I am calling usage. Why? See, this timer function not only for measuring test transaction time. This is general, but transaction points exclusively for measuring test transaction time. How to use timer function for measuring test transaction time? See, variable 1 equal to timer. Next, statements, or you can say steps. Next, variable 2 equal to timer. Next, you can a third variable, not mandatory, optional. You can directly display. Suppose MSG box variable 2 minus variable 1. This is test transaction time. Say we already discussed, it returns time in seconds that have elapsed since 12 a.m. midnight. Suppose now just assume now time is night 1 o'clock. After 12 a.m. it is 1 hour, means 60 into 60, 3600 seconds. Okay, we are starting the test execution at this point, 3600. It returns 3600 seconds to first variable. Next, after completion of the execution, now time is 3618 seconds. It returns. Now tell me, Ritu, Saujanya, what is the test transaction time? Test transaction time.
18.
Yes, 18 seconds. It's very simple. Yes. 18 seconds. Just a minute. 18 seconds. Okay, I will show the example. See, variable 1. You can use meaningful variable names. Suppose start underscore transaction equal to timer. Next, end variable, just variable. You can use XYZ also. End underscore transaction equal to timer. Next, you can take third variable, otherwise you can directly display MSG box end minus start. Okay, run the script. See, 3.015625 seconds. Run the script once again. This time 3.0119 dynamic. You can use third variable also. For example, transaction time equal to MSG box transaction time. Say here we are taking this value, taking that value to variable. Variable values can be exported. That we will discuss later. If you want to export to file system text files, you have to use file system object, Excel files, Excel object. That we will discuss later. But the variable values can be exported. Earlier, in transaction points, no variable. Here we are taking the value to variable. You can display the value locally using MSG box function, or we can export the value to external files. Variable values can be exported. Next, what about result window? Just run the script. Displaying 2.916016 seconds. Launch result window. Here no result. Why? Say already we discussed. UFT provides test result for every test iteration. If we use UFT tool features like checkpoints, output values, transaction points, etc. If we use our own logic, VB script features, we need to define test result. Why? UFT doesn't know about the user's logic. We need to define. Got the point, Dinesh? Defining test result. Just a minute. Just extension of this topic. Extension of this topic. Define test result. Define test result. See, first point, UFT. UFT provides test result. UFT provides test result for every test iteration. What is the difference between test and test iteration? Suppose one test is there. If you execute the test for 10 times, 10 test results. Test iteration means cycle of execution. If you execute test only one time, one test iteration, one test result. 10 times, 10 test results, 10 iterations. UFT provides test result for every test iteration. Here one condition. If we use UFT tool features like checkpoints, output values, transaction points, etc. Transaction points, etc. Suppose if we use our own logic, then we need to define test result. See, if we use our own logic, means VB script features, then we need to define test result. define test result. Okay. See, I think all of you familiar with these 2 points. How UFT provides test result when user need to define test result. Next, how to define test results. See, how to define, just a minute. How to define test result. Say using a reporter utility object. Here I am going to introduce one more utility object called reporter. See, using a reporter utility object, we can define test result. So I will show the example. Say a reporter dot report event method, a report event. Next, suppose 2, I will explain this syntax. Next, a result step name, suppose a res1. Next, details, transaction time is concatenate transaction time. Run the script. See 2.818359 seconds displaying. Next, launch result window, view menu, last run results, expand all. See res object. Observe Saujanya. Result exported to result window na.
Yes, sir.
See transaction time is 2.81 something seconds. Result status done.
That's right.
Next I will explain this statement. Concentrate. Just a minute. Just a minute. See reporter. It is utility object. It is an utility object. Next, report event. Method on that object. Method or operation. Next, 2. This 2 is result status. A result status. Here you can use, just a minute. Here we can use either 0 or MICPAS, Microsoft integer conversion. Either 0 or MICPAS for pass status. Next, either 1 or make a fail for fail status. Next, either 2 or make a done for done status. Suppose no verification points, only execution. Next, either 3 or make a warning for warning status. See, here I used done status. Why? The time is 2 seconds or 3 seconds or 5 seconds. That is not the criteria. We just executing the script and returning the time. If it is 2 seconds or 3 seconds or 4 seconds, pass or fail is not the criteria. That's why I used done status. In future, I will show when to use pass status and fail status and warning status also. Next, res1. res1. This is a result step name. See, you can use any meaningful names for result step names. Next, this transaction time is details, or you can say message. Next, this ampersand sign. This is VB script concatenation operator. Concatenation operator. It combines this message with variable value. You can combine 2 variable values or 2 messages or 1 variable value and 1 message. That I will explain in VB script operators chapter. Just remember this ampersand sign is concatenation operator. Next, last one, transaction time. It is just a variable. It is a variable. See, this is about defining test result. Ritu, tell me, what is this reporter?
Sir, it's utility object.
What is this reporter? Report event?
This is method.
What is this 2?
It's result status. It's done. Make done.
Done. Otherwise, see, instead of to, you can use, just a minute, you can use make done. Next, what is this res one?
It is result step name.
What is this transaction time is?
Transaction name.
Details. You can use any meaningful description.
Oh, okay.
What is this ampersand sign? Concatenation operator.
Concatenation operator.
Concatenation operator. Next, transaction time. It's a variable. Just a variable.
Variable.
Okay. We stored that transaction time into this variable. Okay. Okay, now Saujanya, shall we move to next topic? Did you understand this concept? Inserting transaction points.
Yes, sir.
Using tool feature and script feature also we discussed. Okay, put mute. Next, already we discussed no sequence, no dependencies. All are independent methods. Parameterization. Parameterization. Okay, just 2 minutes. I will be back. See, parameterization. First chapter index. What is parameterization? What is parameterization? Next, purpose of parameterization. Next, what is data driven testing? What is data driven testing? Next, why data driven testing? Why data driven testing? Next, relation between, see, parameterization, data driven testing, both are not equal. See, somebody feeling both are equal. No. Parameterization is global feature, data driven testing is local feature. We use parameterization feature in data driven testing. Okay, what is the relation that I will explain? But both are not equal. Different concepts. But relation is there. Relation between parameterization and data driven testing. Next, how to parameterize. How to parameterize. Next, ways of parameterization. Ways of parameterization. See, last one, practical concept. See, first, what is parameterization? Have any idea, Samir, what is parameterization? What is parameterization? Samir Arora.
Passing multiple data.
Multiple data, passing multiple data, that is data driven testing. Parameterization means not only passing the multiple values, also passing single value. Passing single value also parameterization. See, you can find parameterization feature in all programming languages and scripting languages. In Java, parameterization is there. In C, parameterization is there. Okay, okay. Can you tell me, Radha, what is parameterization?
Passing variables.
Passing variables. Not only variables, you can use arguments or constants or dictionary items or environment variables as parameters. Not only variables. Variable is one of the container for carrying the value. Okay. Put mute. Simple. Replacing constant values with parameters is called parameterization. See, replacing constant values. See, this constant is English term constant. In VB script also one more constant is there. That is different. Constant. In VB script, constants are used to replace literal values and constants never change. That is VB script constant. This constant is English language constant, means fixed value. This constant means fixed. Replacing constant values using parameters is called parameterization. Next, what is the purpose of parameters? Say, to pass single value. You can pass single value also. Next, to pass multiple values. Say sometimes we pass single value only, sometimes multiple values. Suppose if I want to conduct data driven testing, then we need to pass multiple values. Suppose I don't want to conduct data driven testing, only single value. When we use single value, for example, I have an user defined function, login. I created user defined function, login. I want to use this login function in 10 to 20 tests. For first test, I want to use username 1, password 1. For second test, username 2, password 2. Say single values only, but different values. For every test, I want to use different value. For first test, I want login, but user ID 1, password 1. For second test, login required, user ID 2, password 2 I want to use. Yes, you can pass single values. Suppose I want to pass multiple values for data driven testing. Yes, we can pass multiple values. For that resource required, test data file or VB UFT tool feature data table, any resource is required. Next, what is data driven testing? You know what is data driven testing? Testing the same functionality using multiple sets of test data. Testing the same functionality using multiple sets of test data. Okay. First of all, why data driven testing? Suppose for one input my application is responding fine. User ID 1, password 1, my application is responding fine. Login is successful. Then why we need to test with multiple sets of inputs? See, primary purpose of data driven testing is negative testing, positive and negative testing. Suppose for valid inputs my application is responding fine. What about handling of invalid inputs? It has to accept valid inputs and prevent invalid inputs. Say positive and negative testing. Positive and negative testing. This is the primary purpose of data-driven testing. Next, what is the relation between parameterization and data-driven testing? Say we use parameterization feature in data-driven testing. Parameterization is global feature. Data-driven testing is local feature. You can find data-driven testing term in test automation only, but parameterization is global. Okay, relation, okay, we use parameterization feature in data-driven testing. Then what is the difference? Data-driven testing means passing multiple values only. Passing single value meaningless. Data-driven testing means passing multiple values only. But parameterization means not only passing multiple values, passing single value also parameterization. Okay, Narada, did you understand this concept? Relation between parameterization and data-driven testing?
Yes, sir.
Tell me what is the relation and what is the difference?
In data-driven test, we can pass multiple values.
Multiple values only. Passing single
Only,
value
yes.
meaningless. Okay, next.
Yes.
Parameterization means
We can pass single value also,
yes,
as well as
passing single value or passing multiple values.
multiple.
Okay. See, we use parameterization feature in data-driven testing. We use parameterization feature in data-driven testing. This is relation. Next difference, data-driven testing. See, for data-driven testing, we pass multiple values. Multiple values only. Next, passing single value or passing multiple values. See, either passing single value or passing multiple values is called parameterization. So difference is there. Either passing single value or passing multiple values is called data-driven testing. Okay. How to
Data driven or
parameterization. Okay. Sorry. Either passing single value or passing multiple values is called parameterization. Okay. Next, how to parameterize? See, for parameterization, we have different containers for carrying values. We can use either variables or VB script constants or arguments. In functions, you can find arguments that I will explain in functions chapter. Either variables or constants or arguments or environment variables or data table parameters or action parameters or dictionary keys as parameters. See, we can use either variables or constants. See, these constants are VB script constants, not English term constant, or function arguments. Function arguments or environment variables, environment variables or data table, data table parameters or action parameters or dictionary keys as parameters. Okay. See, next, ways of parameterization, practical chapter. See, we can use different containers, either variables, constants, function arguments, environment variables, data table parameters, action parameters or dictionary keys. But important containers are, if it is script level or test level, if it is test level, we use variables. If it is function level, we use arguments. These two are important, variables and function arguments. If it is test level, we prefer variables. If it is function level, we prefer arguments. Okay, we will discuss all possibilities based on your company environment. You can follow. Okay, ways of before ways of parameterization, just
Sir,
ah
what is arguments?
function arguments. What I told in functions chapter, I will explain.
Okay.
Function.
Arguments mean? I didn't understand arguments.
See, in functions, we use arguments as parameter. Argument is term. VB script term.
Okay, sir.
It is not English term arguments. VB script term argument. See, in functions, user defined functions, we use arguments. Suppose login function is there. We use agent name and password as arguments.
Oh, okay. Okay, sir. Got it.
Agent name, password as argument. Suppose Gmail login functionality. Email address one argument, password one argument. You can define arguments. Without arguments also you can create functions. That we will discuss in functions chapter. Okay. See, now tell me, Dinesh. See, just recap, then we will move to practical chapter. What is parameterization? Quick. Dinesh, what is parameterization?
Parameterization is providing of variables.
Radha, what is parameterization? Concentrate, Dinesh. What is parameterization? Radha.
Replacing constant
values means fixed values. Replacing constant values using parameters. Next, Ritu, purpose of parameters.
Purpose of PET. Passing a single value or passing multiple values?
Passing single value or passing multiple values?
Multiple values.
Okay, good. Next, Samir, what is data-driven testing? What is data-driven testing?
Testing the same functionality with multiple set of test data.
Why data-driven testing?
It is done for both negative testing and positive testing.
Positive testing and negative testing. Okay, Saujanya, what is the relation between parameterization and data-driven testing?
We use parameterization for data-driven testing.
Okay. One difference is there not. Data-driven testing means only passing multiple values. Next,
Passing multiple values.
parameterization means not only passing multiple values, passing
But
single
also
value
single values.
Okay.
Also.
Okay, good. Next, Surendra, how to parameterize? Surendra, how to parameterize?
Sorry, sir, what was the question?
How to parameterize? How to parameterize tests?
Using arguments.
See, first variables, arguments,
Yeah.
only
Okay.
function level.
By passing the values through the variables.
We can use either variables or constants or function arguments or environment variables or data table parameters or action parameters or dictionary keys as parameters. Okay. Okay, Ritu. Okay, after the class. Next. Okay, Ritu. Ways of parameterization. First, already we discussed, for parameterizing tests, resource is required. Resource. Here resource means tested. In this scenario, a resource means tested data file. See, without test data file also we can parameterize, but that method is not recommendable for large amount of data. That concept is dynamic submission. Dynamic submission of test data. Dynamic submission of test data. See, in this method, user interaction is required, but no resource is required. But limitation, it is not suitable for large amount of data. It's only for small amount of data. Just a minute, I will show an example. Concentrate. Just a minute. Just a login functionality. Login functionality. Here I am not inserting any verification point, that we will discuss later. Just focus on data driven testing. Window of sample application dot close. See, if you want to observe the test execution process, you can insert wait statement. It is optional. Run the script. John, HP. Suppose I want to use multiple sets of test data for this login functionality. Say I'm taking two variables, agent equal to next password. Read data using input devices. Input box, it is also built-in function of VB script. MSG box for displaying the data for output, input box for input. Any meaningful message. Enter agent name. Next, enter password. Pass variables as parameters. Agent, password. Suppose I want to pass three sets of data. For that loop statement required. For I equal to 1, 2, 3. I will explain loop statement syntax in VB script. VB script flow control statements chapter. Say for I equal to 1, 2, 3, step 1, increment 1. Run the script. Okay, in this sample application only fixed agent name. Fixed agent name. Here error handling required. See, like this you can pass multiple sets of test data. But one drawback is there. The drawback is for every iteration user interaction is required. So it is not suitable for large amount of data. Suppose 50 records, 100 records, only for small amount of data. But nowadays it is useful. It is useful, not only useful, it is mandatory for some scenarios. Mandatory. Say note. To enter CAPTCHA fields, we use this method. We use this method. What is this method? Dynamic submission of test data. Dynamic submission of test data. See, to enter CAPTCHA fields. Radha, you know what is CAPTCHA field?
No, sir.
Verification code. verification code. Just a minute. Suppose Gmail account, create account. Suppose we have to conduct data driven testing for this Gmail account, create account. Say in this scenario we have nearly 10 fields, input fields: first name, last name, choose username, create password, confirm password, date of birth, gender, phone number, etc. For all these fields you can prepare test data. For all these fields you can prepare test data. But last field, observe Ritu, verification field is there na?
Okay. Oh,
Yes, sir.
For this field we cannot prepare test data na? This value is dynamic na?
Yes, sir.
For remaining fields you can use test data file. For CAPTCHA field you have to follow that dynamic submission of test data only. After reading that value you can enter. Okay now, what is the use of dynamic submission of test data? Tell me, Ritu. Use of dynamic submission of test data.
I don't know.
You tell me, Saujanya, what is the use of dynamic submission of test data?
After seeing the verification code,
To enter
we can
CAPTCHA
enter
fields.
and then we can run the test.
To input
Yeah, we can,
CAPTCHA fields.
CAPTCHA fields.
CAPTCHA fields.
Mhm.
For CAPTCHA fields, we cannot prepare test data. Okay.
Yeah,
For
as
remaining
it
fields,
is
you can prepare
dynamic.
test data. For remaining 10 fields, you can prepare test data. First name, you can prepare 10 first names, 10 last names, 10 passwords, 10 confirm passwords, etc. But CAPTCHA field after reading only, dynamic. Okay. To
Yes,
submit this type of fields, we can use CAPTCHA. You can use dynamic submission of test
dynamic submission of test
data.
data.
Okay. See, next, using data table. Using data table. Using data table. Say we already discussed data table. Just I've introduced data table in UFT introduction chapter. It is an integrated spreadsheet for data related operations. It is an integrated workbook, Excel like workbook. It is an integrated workbook for data related operations. It has two types of sheets. One is global sheet, another action sheets or local sheets. Next, data table located in two areas. One is UFT tool main window, another location is UFT tool result window. Their name is runtime data table. Next, UFT attach one data table for every test. If we create 10 tests in your project, 10 data tables. 100 tests, 100 data tables. It is test level feature, not tool level feature. Next, important one, usage of data table. Usage of data table. See, enter test data. Enter test data. directly, enter test data directly into data table and connect to the test. Next, import test data from external files and connect to the test. Next, import test data from a database from an external file. Here you can use either text file, notepad, like text file or Excel file. Next, import test data from a database and connect to the test. Okay. Next, steps for a data driven testing. Steps for data driven testing using data table. First step, generate the basic test and run it once. Why running the test once? To make sure whether the script is executing without errors or not. See, generate the basic test and run it once. Next, launch data table run it once. Next, error handling required for negative testing. See, insert steps for error handling. Next, launch data table and enter or insert or import. See, common steps for all types of usage. Launch data table and enter or import test data. Next, connect test data with the test. Connect test data with the test to the test. Connect test data to the test. For connecting test data, we have three possibilities. You can connect test data using editor view or using keyword view or using data driver. Using editor view or keyword view or data driver. See, best one is using editor view. Why? I will explain. Why editor view is best method, I will explain later. Next, run the test. See, these are the steps for data driven testing using data table. Common steps for all types of usage. Can you tell me, Surendra, steps for data driven testing using data table? 5 steps I explained.
Generate the basic test.
And run it once. Perform dry run. Okay.
Yeah. Then insert steps for error handling.
Why error handling? We use invalid input also na. So yes, error handling required. Okay. Next.
And I import the test data.
Import tested launch data table. Enter or import.
Okay.
You can enter directly. Otherwise, import test data. Enter or import test data from. Enter or import test data. Next.
And connect the test data.
Connect the test data to the test. For connecting test data, we have 3 possibilities. What are the 3 possibilities?
Keyword view.
First, editor view. That is important view. Primary view. Editor view.
And using data driver.
Data driver. Okay, data driver available in tools menu. Okay. Say I'm taking the new test. Generate the basic test. You can use either recording or keyword driven methodology. Generate the basic test. Enter agent name. Enter password. Click OK button. See, close the window. Stop. Run it once. Executing. First step over. Second step, insert error handling statements. For example, if we use invalid input, what will happen? Run automatically closing. In just a minute. Run. Say for this sample application login functionality, automatic error handling mechanism is there. So we no need to use auto error handling mechanism. Developers used automatic error handling mechanism, so we no need to use. But in real time, error handling is required. But in the sample application, developers used automatic error handling mechanism. Just try to.
Sir, instead of this application, Maybe if we use GCR shop.
Yes, I will use.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because this one, as you are saying, there is error handling
Okay.
already.
I will show that one also. I will show. First
Okay.
first plain, then I will show. See, error handling one topic also there. In that chapter, I will explain all error handling possibilities. Okay. See. Now, basic test is ready. If you want to observe the test execution process, insert wait statement. It is optional. Okay. Next, second step, launch data table, view menu, data, enter or import test data. First, enter test data. See, click on column header, double click on column header. Just a minute. Agent, you can use same names AB also. Next, second column header, double click on second column header. Password. Next, prepare test data. Suppose John HP. John 2. Just a minute. See, some problem is there, mouse problem. John 3. John 4. John 5. Okay, 5 sets of data. See, second step over. Third step, connect test data to the test. Connect test data. See, first I am using editor view. It is programmatic view. It is important view. Best method for connecting test data. Remaining views, sometimes user friendly, but sometimes not useful. But editor view always useful. First I will explain the syntax. Connect test data using editor view. Data table, it is utility object of data table of first column, then sheet. Column name or column ID, comma, sheet name or sheet ID. See, better to use column ID, sheet ID, simple. First one, data table of column name. You can use like this, agent, comma, like this. Otherwise, simple sheet column ID. See, in this sheet, agent column is first column, 1. Sheet also first sheet, global sheet, 1, comma 1. Simple. column ID comma sheet ID. Column ID comma sheet ID. Next password. Tell me Ritu. Column ID comma sheet ID.
2, 1.
2 comma 1.
Sir, instead of 2, can we write B?
B we removed na.
Oh, okay.
You can use password.
Oh, okay, okay.
Just a minute. You try with that one. Error na. Column does not exist. We removed. Suppose if
Yes,
we
sir.
use A, B, C, D values as it is, then you can use B. No issue. But here for user friendliness point of view, I used the agent password as column names. So
Right, sir.
instead of this one, you can use password.
Yeah, password.
Password. One password, column name, password, sheet same, sheet ID same, one only. Run the script. What is the problem? The retrieved data table value operation failed. Password column does not exist. Password. What is the problem? Oh, spell mistake. Here I used PAS just. Otherwise, you use the same name. Run the script. See, second iteration John 2, third iteration John 3. Now don't focus on error handling, that we will discuss later. Now just multiple iterations. Instead of this one, you can use 2. Run the script. See, first iteration, second iteration, third one, fourth one, fifth iteration, over. Say, instead of editor view, you can use keyword view. First, original values as it is, constant values as it is. Suppose agent John. Password HP. Switch to keyword view. Here select value John in value column. Add new parameter. Just a minute. Type string. Just a minute. Data table. Oh, here, just a minute. First one, here select data table parameter. Data table. Here already data table parameters available. First one, select agent. Mouse is not functioning properly. select agent. Oh, it is not functioning. My mouse is not functioning properly. Just a minute. Okay. This usage I will show later. Next class. Next, data driver wizard. Very simple. This one. Just a minute. First, John. Switch to editor view, keyword view. Here select constant value. Here select data table. Here select column name. Suppose agent. Next, enter. Okay, entered. Mouse is not functioning properly. Next, second one. Select data table tab. Select password. Just a minute. Okay, password. Switch to editor view. See, same steps. Earlier we used column ID comma sheet ID. This time it generated column name comma sheet name. This DT global sheet is UFT reserved word. That's why no double quotes. It is reserved word. You can see, you can directly type this one, data table of column name comma DT global sheet, like this. Save. Run the script. First output, first input, second input. Okay, na Radha? Connecting test data using keyword view.
Okay, sir.
Tell me the navigation. First switch to
View.
keyword view, view menu, keyword view. Next, select value in this value column. Next, select data table, select column name,
Names.
like that. Okay. Next, just a minute. Switch to editor view again. Suppose constant values as it is. John HP. This time using data driver. Data driver. Data driver available in tools menu. Tools, data driver. Select constant value. First, John. Parameterize all. Parameter options. Data table okay. Global sheet okay. If it is another sheet, you can select another sheet. Next, select the column agent. Finish. Next, select another value password. Parameterize. Parameter options. Select column name password. Click OK. Finish. OK. See. Same generated. Data table of agent comma DT global sheet. Password comma global sheet. DT global sheet. Last question for the day. Tell me, Surendra, connect test data using data driver. Tell me that navigation. Surendra. Saujanya, you tell me the navigation. How to connect test data using data driver.
Tools,
Tools menu,
tools menu, and data drivers.
data
Select data
driver.
driver,
Here no values.
and
Just a minute.
because already we did, so
Just a minute. Just a minute. Suppose first value John. HP. See,
yes,
tools menu,
tools,
data driver,
data driver, and select John,
select John, parameterize,
parameterize
all,
and select the sheet.
first parameter
options.
Next, data
And,
table OK, global sheet
in the
OK,
name,
select the column,
name
agent
as
column.
agent, and click OK.
OK, next,
And same thing again, like we need to
Finish. Next,
finish.
select HP,
I mean like password,
parameterize,
parameterize,
parameter options,
options,
sheet OK, next column,
name,
password,
password, and click OK, and
finish,
then finish.
OK.
And yeah, that's it.
Okay, it will execute. Run the first iteration, second iteration, third iteration, fourth one, and last iteration. Okay, put mute. Okay, we'll meet on Monday, same time. Thank you.
Sir, hello.
Tell me.
Sir, can you please check this? Can you please copy this code on your UFT?
You sent to my email ID. Email.
Yeah, actually, I'm not able to write descriptive code for calendar object.
Okay, you
Okay.
calendar object you are not able to write. Okay.
Yeah.
You send that script. You send that script to my mail gcreddy@gcreddy.com. I will verify.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
No problem.